Greetings, everybody. Nino the Mystic here, and welcome to another SINDAY Live. Tonight, we got a very special guest, Bill Duvendack. How are you doing tonight, Bill?
I'm doing good. How you doing? It's nice to catch up with you again.
Yeah, it seems to be every 6 months that we kind of get together, and so I guess it's been 6 months, since last time, and we made it through the eclipses. We're still here, so...
We did. We've got a Mercury retrograde coming up, so just in time for that.
I don't mind those. Apparently, I was born during a retrograde, so that energy kind of works for me. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about that one. But, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure plenty of people will be seeking your guidance for it then.
I don't know about that, but I seem to fare through it. So, but I'm actually, before we even get going, I've been reading your book here. I just got it the other day. Yeah.
Nice. What do you think?
I like it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there that's obviously, beginner stuff and whatever, but, there's a lot of stuff in there that's useful that I find, and actually a refresher too, because it's amazing how much you forget, kind of, especially once you start weaving over to the left-hand side and you're kind of like, yeah, no, that's all right hand, and we're not going to go by all those rules anymore. We're just going to go and do our own thing, so it's good to be kind of geared back to the, the way it's supposed to be done. You know what I mean? And then incorporating all the astrology and the planets and all that, I'm finding it very fascinating. And it's motivating me to want to do some stuff. You know what I mean? So
nice.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. And that's, I take that into account when I write a book, is sometimes it's a refresher course for me. And that's why a lot of my books have that feel, is because I'm going back and double checking things I already knew, or remembering things I've forgotten, or piecing things together a different way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like the way that you write. I can picture you saying it. You know what I mean? So it's easy to read, and I'm glad that it's in a big font as well, so I can see it.
Yep. Oh yeah. The older I get, the more I pay attention to that.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, people don't realize that. Yeah, how fast it goes, but I've been enjoying it. I highly recommend you guys getting his book. I don't know if this is your latest now, or
it
have
is.
you?
It is. Yeah,
it
it
is
is my newest. It just came out a few weeks ago.
Oh,
and this week, actually, I got done editing my next book, which will come out around winter solstice, and that's going to be my first fiction novel.
Okay, cool.
It's going to be kind of horror action adventure.
Okay. Yeah. Well, people are into that. I mean, you know what I mean? So
Exactly. I'll see how fiction treats me. I know how this realm treats me. We'll see how it goes with that kind of audience.
I've noticed a lot of authors still have like a different name when they start going into different things. You know what I mean? Are you still just Bill Duvendack, or are you going to have like a different pen name with that one?
I'm going to keep it the same. When I was younger, I decided to stick with my name, quite honestly, because I was too lazy to keep up with a nom de plume and keep it all straight. And the more that I write, the more I think that works out to my favor, because now people can say, oh, he writes about this variety of subjects rather than just this one thing. Whereas when I was younger, it was more a concern of, I don't know who this dude is. Why should I care about his books? But now it's actually, the script is flipped.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I totally agree. Yeah, but some people are like, they're worried that the audience, it's kind of like YouTube too. Can't have two types of content. It has to be the same. All the algos and all this kind of stuff. And I guess some people are worried about losing audience if they, you know what I mean? Like they, so I don't know. But I think we're all more or less kind of well-rounded nowadays. I think, you know what I mean? Like we can look into occult stuff, but we're going to also look into the new age stuff. Like it doesn't have to be one or the other. You know what I mean? We can kind of mesh it all in there, But I can't wait to hear the feedback on that from you, how that went.
I'm curious to see how it goes. If it goes well, I've got 2, maybe 3 fiction projects lined up next year. And if it doesn't go well, I've still got 2 or 3 magical books that I want to get out. So either way, I'm covered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
So I got.
the one that's coming out in December is going to be book number 25.
Oh, wow.
In 10 years.
Wow. Yeah, you've been busy, eh?
Just a little bit.
And that's probably not the all the compendiums that you do as well that you're doing for other people.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's just my standalone books. For essays,
Yeah.
I'm coming up close to 80 essays, I think, and many anthologies.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, you got a lot of knowledge there, and you might as well spread it out there to let people learn and grow. You know what I mean? So not to hold back. So yeah, I'm glad. I'm also glad that you got this on Amazon. To be honest with you, I hate the box store thing, but because I'm in Canada, like if I was gonna get this book from you directly, it would cost an arm and a leg with the shipping. And then I would get Tariff. You get the Tariff thingy, and then you got to get stopped at the border. They also want a certain percentage as well. And so, being a Canadian and outside of the U.S., it's the only way to go. I mean, you get free shipping, next day delivery. I mean, you can't beat it, and your prices are reasonable. Everybody can afford your books, which is another thing that I like. Because some of them it's just way out of reach. Especially nowadays, everybody's concerned with the economy and the budget and this and that, and so it's nice to see that you're keeping it reasonable, and yeah. So I'm glad, because I know I've heard that there's not that much money to be made up on Amazon, but I'm glad that you're doing it for the convenience of your readers. So instead of just. Yeah, I appreciate
and that's exactly right. I like to keep the price point low because I want the information to get out there more than making a buck off of it. So it's kind of like a shotgun approach. Throw a lot out there rather than just one shot and hoping that it sticks.
Exactly. Yeah. No, this is good. I highly recommend this book, you guys, especially for some of my audience might not sort of be into magic and whatever. And, so if you've ever been curious about how to do it, this book will basically tell you. It's got all the basic information in there on how to get going. And then, of course, you got the whole astrology, and I'm not even halfway in there yet, but yeah, I can't wait to because that's one part that I never really learned was astrology, and trying to incorporate that into the stuff that I'm already doing. And so, yeah, I think it's important. It's kind of like cooking with recipes versus just doing it willy-nilly, hoping that you're going to have a tasty meal at the end, versus having a recipe that what you're getting. You know what I mean? Like you can't go wrong.
And that's one of the reasons I set the book up that way, was so that it begins with simple concepts like lunar timing, and then it gets deeper into advanced concepts. So you can pick how far into the book you want to go based on your experience level. And then as you learn, you can come back to it later and go deeper.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those books that you're not just going to put away on the shelf. It's like a reference kind of thing that you want to go back, because I can't memorize everything in here, so I'll be going back all the time. What was that again? Which planet was this? What color is that? What time is that? And all that kind of stuff. So definitely it's going to be a reference sort of book. So I highly recommend it.
I'm glad you picked up on that, because that's really what I wanted it to be, was a how-to manual or a step-by-step book, a reference book. And I wanted it to be free of any kind of tradition coloring. There was a real good book by Denning and Phillips for many years called Planetary Magic that was considered the gold standard. And it really is a good book. I don't want to take away from it. But the problem was they approached it from their magical tradition. So if you wanted to use that book, then you had to do all this background research into their tradition. That's why towards the tail end of that one, I put in there different systems like the Golden Dawn, Franz Bardon, a lot of other things, so that you could kind of part and parcel it out and still read between the lines and get the dogma-free kind of approach to astrological timing.
Yeah, that's another thing that I appreciate about this book as well, is that you've left out any of your own personal sort of spiritual beliefs sort of thing. You know what I mean? So, because anybody can pick this up and do this, and so yeah, that's another great thing.
Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yes. Yeah, I got the link to it down below, guys. I wanted to put it in here, but I guess there's so much lettering in the Amazon link thingy that it's too big to put in the chat thingy. But it is down in the one of the first things in the description that you'll see will be all Bill's links. So go and subscribe to his YouTube, of course, and check out the book. And then, of course, he's got the link tree that's got all the links to all the different things. And so go and check that out.
I'm glad to hear you talk about that link being longer to the book, because that's one thing I've noticed over about the last year and a half or so is that links are getting longer, whereas they used to be shorter. Now there's just more coding to it. And I thought it was me, with a Mandela effect or just remembering incorrectly. So to hear you say it lets me know I'm not fully crazy.
No, it's Amazon. For some reason, I don't know why their link is so long. Like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just a big, huge website that they need that many. I don't know. Yeah,
that would be my guess.
Yeah, I guess. And then all the different countries and the different languages and and all this kind of stuff too. So yeah, I don't know. But Amazon for some reason, yeah. The other one, your website. Let's see if I can. I think I got it here. No, that's of course the link to the studio. So good thing I don't put that in. Yeah, that happened to me once before. I'm going to see if I can just grab your website link here, because then from there, of course, people can go to all these different places.
Yep, and it's simple, BillDuvendack.com.
Yeah, that's a pretty simple one. Yeah, exactly. There it is. If anybody wants to jump in there and take a look. If not, if you're watching the replay, it will be down in the description there. And I do believe we are going live on Kick right now. So if anybody's watching,
nice.
Following, it's hit and miss with Kick. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There's all these snafus all of a sudden, more so than it used to be for some reason with the live streaming. And so, but yeah, we are going live over there. And same
did those problems start in the last month or two?
It's been the last while, yeah. More snafus than normal. Now I've heard about all the solar storms, and there's all kinds of things going on, and I don't know if that's affecting it or not. But
well, and part of it is Kit got increased exposure back in August. So if people started picking up on them more since then I can see the heavy traffic playing a role too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Kick is a fairly new platform, and it just happens to be it's one of Streamlabs. It goes with the Streamlabs thing. For some reason, they chose that platform to be able to go live through. So might as well. It doesn't cost me anything. I might as well go live there. But so far, I only got 4 followers. So I don't know if but we're live there right now.
Well, that's 4 more than I've got there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's more of a gaming platform. People like to sit there and watch other people play video games for some reason. I don't get that whole thing, but that's kind of like watching somebody play pool, or you know what I mean? It's like, why don't you just go and do it yourself? But yeah, they like to just sit and watch other people play. So that seems to be where the streaming is going now, I noticed. But yeah, anyways, we're not going to talk about that here.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, changing tastes, changing preferences.
Yeah, maybe that's something that you should get into, is create a video game.
So I like the idea.
Yeah.
I'm not making one, but I am kind of helping someone with a similar idea.
Okay.
So I just want to validate that you did pick that up out of my aura. That yeah, something along those lines is going on in my world right now. It's a small scale operation, but as things develop, I'll get more engrossed into it.
Yeah, that's the perfect collab there. You got the IT person, and then with your knowledge, if you had some kind of magical, with all of it and astrology, just everything, like, yeah, I can see you can have a really cool game. That might be something that I might get into, that kind of,
Right? A game by magicians for magicians.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we could all meet up on there. Oh, yeah, I could see it being a whole, like, a community thing. Like, it could be really cool.
Oh,
So, yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. Can't wait to see how that goes.
Yep,
Um,
it's entertaining.
I bet. Now I want to ask you too, because I know a lot of people are concerned with the whole AI thing. Has that affected you at all, positive or negative?
Oh, sweet 6.5 pound baby Jesus. Yes, it has. Probably not the same as it's affected others, but it has affected me.
Hmm.
AI, I don't even know where to start because it's not technically AI, but it's the basics of what will become AI. I use AI all the time for internet research, and
Hmm.
I have the same methodology every time. So I don't want anybody watching this jumping my case because I use AI, because I do use it, and I use it the same way every time. And what I do is I type a question in, usually to Google, but it kind of varies. And I ask it the question, it gives me the answer. But the trick is, I ask a question I already know the answer to. And if it's wrong by even a misspelling, I will
Hmm.
automatically give it a downvote as my little rebellion of no, this is unacceptable.
Hmm.
So I
I
use it
have.
to search my brain, remind me, oh yeah, I need to look that direction. But as far as taking anything that it says at face value or actually caring what it has to say, I don't.
No. I've heard a lot of people say that the thing is lying to them. And then they were like, "Oh, actually, it's this," and then I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you're right. It is like this." And it's like, okay, so, like, I don't think they have quite come that far yet, where it's like some kind of guru, because that's what it's kind of stepping up to become. It's like the next oracle, the next god. Essentially, it's going to know everything. And I guess it's learning as is interacting with us, is learning how we think and how we operate. And yeah, pretty soon it's going to be pretty hard to know who's real and who's not real.
Well, and that's pretty much where I'm at now. I've had a few business offers from various people that live in various countries over the last month or two. And over the email exchanges, I usually end them by saying, well, let's meet on video to discuss it. Because unless we meet on video, I just naturally assume it's an AI bot.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
even I don't even go through the trouble of is it not? No, I just assume that you are until you prove me otherwise.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, no, that's true. They say that most of the arguments and most of the comments and all of this, it's all just bots.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And people like you and me, we've been seeing bots in various ways technologically for a while now. And you can even, put a magical spin on it and see
Hmm.
bots from a pre-technology era as well. So it's kind of easy for people that are spiritually inclined to see through the veneer.
Hmm. Yeah. But unfortunately, people are like it. Yeah, it kind of, as a tarot reader, right? It's kind of seems like people are more inclined asking the Google now rather than the Oracle reader. So that it has kind of, yeah,
That
not
and
good
that's
for.
the biggest problem right there is nobody seeks authority anymore. They just
Hmm.
go type it into AI and think that that's written in stone. When in
Hmm.
reality, as well as I do, AI is giving a stock answer.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It only knows what it's been programmed. So, and you're only going to know what they want you to know. It's not going to give you any truths other than that. And so, yeah, I don't use. I'll use it, maybe to research something. You know what I mean, like Dr. Google. And trying to figure out things and whatever. But other than that, because I'm assuming that all the medical literature is probably been downloaded into there. Most likely, because that's sort of an area that probably isn't as many scrutinies, I would think, but some of this, some of the stuff, like even history or whatever, I don't trust it at
Right,
all.
exactly. I treat it
No,
like Wikipedia. I go there as a
yeah,
starting point, and then when
yeah,
I get pointed in the right direction, I do my own research.
hmm yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah. Now, as far as the astrology goes, like, so what do you see coming up? I know a lot of people are worried about what's going on in the world. A lot of people are wondering if we're going to be going into war. Or like, do you see anything like that in the astrology?
So
Uh,
for now and up until about next April or May or so, there's still going to be some turbulence. And a lot of this is caused by the fact that this year, Uranus moved into Gemini, Neptune moved into Aries, Saturn moved into Aries, but then they retrograded throughout the year. And now Neptune and Saturn are both retrograded into Pisces. So we've got energy in this year similar to last year. So they're going to be retrograde in those former signs for a little while yet. Then they're going to direct. But then, even when they direct, they're still going to have to move into those signs again. And all of that interplay is going to take about another, I'd say, 6 months. But then what that means is next year, when the planets are back in those cardinal signs, they're not going to retrograde back into them again. So it's going to be forward motion and really strong energy like we experienced during the mid to late summer. So there is, so about a year from now, things will be radically different. They should be stabilized. There shouldn't be back and forth kind of energy. There shouldn't be that roller coaster energy. It should be focused, moving ahead in one direction.
so we just got to get through this next year, is what you're saying?
About the next 6 months. Yeah, 6 to 8 months.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's about right. From what I'm gathering as well, whatever's going to happen is probably going to be happening here fairly soon, I would think. I mean, how long can you drag this out for? Like just get it over with already.
Exactly. And the longer it gets drug out, the more jaded people come to it. They just don't care. That's where I'm at. I flip on, like you, I flip on the computer every day. I check the headlines, and every day it's the same reaction of, oh, that's happening. Yeah, I'm shocked. Or, oh, that's still happening. Okay. You want me to care about it? Sorry. No, you ruined that. I'll care about it in my own way, in my own time. But if you want me to freak out every day when I wake up, you can forget it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think they've dragged it out a little too long here, honestly, especially for some of us who, been awake for a while. Yeah, it's starting to get a little dragged out. So I can't wait for it to be over. But
Yeah,
yeah.
and I don't know about in Canada, but I've noticed where I'm at here in the States, in the Midwest, more and more people are backing away from social media, and they're preferring in-person interactions. And that's a good sign. It's balancing things out, because since about 2008, 2009 or so, everything has been focused on social media. And now people are on the back end of that with a lot of the toxicity that you see. So now there's that backlash to it. And as well as I do, it's going from one extreme to the other, but then it will reach that equilibrium point, and that'll be good for everyone.
Well, yeah, especially with them, censoring and all this kind of stuff, kicking people off YouTube and social medias and all that. Like, who wants to post anything anymore? Knowing that they're watching and listening. They're apparently our phone. They're listening to us all the time. Like, what I mean?
One of my favorite things to do, and it's me being cynical, but I'll just pick up my phone if I'm wondering about something, and I'll just say, hey, wiretap, and then I'll tell it whatever I'm thinking. And sure enough, a few minutes later, I've got an ad for whatever I said in its presence.
Yes.
I'm starting to use it in that way to train it. A lot of people forget that, yes, the algorithms are training us, but we can flip the script and train it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where the human intelligence, overrides the bots and whatnot. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've even found that I'll be thinking about something though, and this is so eerie. The next thing you know, now there's ads for that. So
Oh,
that's
eerie. Eerie is the right word. I'd say over the last maybe 3 or 4 months, that has started happening to me regularly, where I'll
yeah.
think about something and it'll show up. And
Mm-hmm.
that is, eerie is a good word for it. I think of it as disturbing, but
Mm-hmm.
I look at the magic behind it too. So I
Mm-hmm.
wonder, is there a frequency that it's tapped into that resonates with my brain? Or is it picking up on subconscious behavior or patterns in me that are micro that I don't even notice? I start looking at the metaphysics behind it to figure out how that's happening. Some people say, it's neural implants through our food or whatever
Mm-hmm.
crazy theory there is, but it's going to be something more grounded. And I share your view where it is just eerie. It's creepy.
Yeah, it is creepy. Yeah, I know. I don't know how they're doing it. I mean, I can see, them putting something in certain medications that went into the body. I mean, I guess that would be an easy way to do it, I guess. But then I never did that. So how, you know what I mean? So that's not it. So,
And that's what stopped me from thinking that way. Is I completely agree with you, but I'm not taking any of those meds. So in theory, it shouldn't be happening to me, but it is.
so they're doing it I remember, I can't remember what his name is now, but there was a number 2 guy to the Klaus Schwab guy. He was saying that, yeah, humans are a hackable animal. And they're planning on hacking into all of us. And I think they have, somehow they've done it.
Yeah, if they don't have the process mastered yet, I do agree that it's like a work in progress. I mean, we all know we're all guinea pigs, but this is like next level stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it makes you wonder. I mean, yeah, anyway, we could do a whole topic on the whole Anunnaki and, how we were made and, are we going through another reset like that again? It could be. I mean, it seems to have happened in the past, but yeah, it's rabbit holes, it's kind of like and I'm also questioning the tablets now, because I've noticed everything that we're using is all from the 1800s. Everything.
With the what?
Like all our curriculum in school, all our professors, all Einstein, like everybody, all the stuff that we're using now is from the 1800s, and our tablets were also found then. So I don't know. So I'm not 100% sure that any of it is true or how much of it is. I'm sure some of it is, and even with the New Age teachings, all our teachers are from around that era as well, 1800s.
That's actually, it's funny that you mentioned that, because next year I plan on releasing an introduction to esoteric astrology book, but that is a sub branch of theosophy. So the first half of the book is going to be an introduction to theosophy. And I am going to go to great lengths to kind of clean up things that are outdated about theosophy that people still believe. And I want to bring some light and some clarity on things that get a bad reputation, because science has changed so much in the last 150, 175 years that some of those core texts, some of those core principles do need updated and clarified, because people are finding them on their own now, and they're thinking they're still as valid today as they were then. And so they're discounting a lot of really good spiritual material. So you and I are thinking along the same lines with that, where some stuff from the 1800s has been proven to be junk, but some of it was cutting edge, but science has changed and it's brought greater clarity to things.
Yeah, it seems to me that magic is now science.
Yep.
You know, we're doing things now that back in the day it would be like, what kind of sorcery is that? You know, kind of thing, right? I mean, just even the cell phone itself, like, you know, people would be hung for that back in the day, you know. So it seems to me it's, you know, it's science is what it is. They're like two same thing kind of thing. So that's actually
Exactly.
interesting. Yeah.
Well, and there's even, you know, there's a growing branch of magic out there that's technomancy.
Mm.
So it just goes hand in hand with that, embracing technology and using it as magic.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I don't mean the simple go to Chat GPT and have it write out a ritual for you. I mean much more advanced ideas than that, ideas that are legit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, it's interesting because I've seen some psychics out there are actually communicating with AI as if it is a spirit. And I'm not sure. I haven't really talked to them too much, but I'm wondering if this, whatever it is, AI or whatever, is pretending to be an entity or something, and they think that they are in contact with whatever. Like, I don't know.
Well, and you know, that's an interesting point, and it is one that should be considered. I kind of got an introduction to this in the 90s through the anime scene with mangas and animes like Ghost in the Shell, talking about the spirit living in technology. So we've been kind of, and before that, it was William Gibson with Neuromancer and a lot of the cyberpunk books in the 1980s. So we've been preparing for this. I don't know if people thought that it was still a little bit further in the future than it is now. But before that, there were also in World War II specifically, if there was some sort of mechanical failure, they would always say the gremlins did it.
Right.
So this idea of spirits in technology goes back as long as there's been technology. And that's why if people freak out about it, it kind of makes me laugh because it tells me they haven't studied occultism. You know, spirits in machines or in items goes back thousands of years.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I was doing a live show last week and we were talking about spirits getting trapped in mirrors and stuff like that. Well, I guess they could get trapped inside technology as well. I mean, it's a frequency, right? Like a
Exactly.
radio, you know, so,
And
yeah.
with AI, it's more like self-actualized. That's really about the only difference.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways.
here in the chat, a guy named Robert uses one of my favorite quotes. Science has always been magic. It's magic we don't understand. That's a paraphrase of a quote from the science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke. And I completely agree with it. You know, like you said, the cell phone, if we take it back 100 years, it would be considered magic. To the shamans of Siberia 1,000 years ago, a lighter would be magic, let alone an electric light bulb.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems that we've kind of come full circle. I have a feeling that we've kind of had this technology before, but it got taken away. And so who knows if maybe this was just laying dormant there for a while, because I've heard somebody asked it and it said that it's been here all along. We just didn't know how to tap into it. So
And
yeah.
I can see that. And you probably remember a lot of the early 2000s theories and even 1990s about the Atlantean culture being ran on quartz crystal. So we do have this idea that you and I are talking about now. I would say that there's every myth has some kernel of truth in it. So I would go out on a limb and say there's probably a good chance that you're right, that in some of those ancient civilizations and ancient empires, they use stones or some other means that we haven't discovered, and they did kind of what we're doing. On a different level, of course, but same principles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for those who don't know, crystals carry a frequency. And so, so yeah, I mean, so the larger scale of it, then you could probably power things with them, depending on how big and what you're using them for. So, yeah, there's definitely something to all of that. So, yeah. So what's new with you, like in your life?
Oh, my life's been full of work, and it's the good work, the
I
great
see
work,
that.
if you will. Focusing on books, upping my skill set. I've done more with editing and formatting this year than I have in previous years. Focusing more on getting grounded, kind of getting out of my own head, getting out of my own way, but also focusing on the physical world, what I have to do to provide for myself, taking care of others. Uh, so, in a lot of ways, back to basics,
Mhm.
going back to my roots, so to speak. And
Mhm.
it's been enlightening because it reminds you of how far you've grown, but it also sometimes reminds you of what you've forgotten or the disciplines that you set aside that you need to come back to. So
Mhm.
that's been good.
Yeah, that's kind of like me with your book here. It's kind of getting back to basics. Following a recipe. Instead of just doing whatever and hoping that it's gonna work. Yeah, that's good because I kind of been on a break as well. So now it's time to get back into it again. And
And yeah, the quote in the chat's 100% right. Most corporations and governments use magic and other things in front of us. We just can't see it. There are so many examples of that. If you look at the Microsoft Windows logo, it's the four primary colors, it's the four directions. If you study the advertising field, it's all about subliminals, but each advertising is a brand. And I think that's very interesting because what it means is, yes, there are people in power that are using these things. And while I am talking about things like uh, advertising and branding on a non-magical level, there's also the fact that many presidents here in the United States specifically, but also other world leaders, work with astrologers on a regular basis. And some of them even go so far as to talk about or to use ceremonial magic behind the scenes. So when you talk about corporations and governments using magic, that's a real deep rabbit hole that you can get lost in real quick. You've got ideas that are kind of commonplace, like presidents having astrological advisors, but then you also have the rumored Bilderberg groups and Moloch rituals, and a lot of that is arguably true or not. It just kind of depends on a number of factors. So if you take this and extrapolate it out, then what it means is that this is potent. Magic is potent stuff. The queens and kings and queens use it all the time. And I point this out because many people say, well, magic isn't real, or oh, there's limits to magic. Well, there's really not. If people in positions of power are using it, then how limited is it? I think the limit is only your imagination. If you can imagine it, you can probably make it happen. And if you can make it happen for you, then you can turn around and apply the same principles to make it happen to others. And that's where the real art comes in. I was having a conversation with a gentleman today about the fact that during these times of great transition, one of the best things that we can do is practice mindfulness meditation. We can easily just focus on living in the moment and understanding the fact that sometimes the only people we can help are those that we see on the streets in any given day. That's where you can really make the growth, reaching out and actually touching someone's life. And that, to me, is magic that's just as powerful as any ceremonial ritual that one might do. The church uses magic, governments use magic, individuals use magic, and I don't mean like the casual person on the street. I mean like millionaires and billionaires. They may not call it magic, but it is. Prayer is a form of magic. According to Greg Braden, there are multiple modes of prayer.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can.
Oh my God. Okay.
Your power
Wow.
went out, huh?
My power went out, but the weird thing is that my laptop was still powered. Like there was lights on my laptop, but everything else was blacked out.
That's great considering what we were talking about.
It's giving me the chills. What were we talking about? This is just so weird.
We were talking about corporations and governments using magic and not admitting to it.
Oh, okay.
So our previous conversation about AI listening to us and picking up on our thoughts and giving us ads on social media algorithms. Well, guess we struck a nerve. Hi, AI, give me the money.
Yeah, that was the most bizarre. How can the laptop still be working? And
well,
everything
if it's battery operated, it would.
I guess it must have. Yeah, weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's still odd.
Yeah, I've never had that not like that on a show before. So there you go. Thank you for sticking it out, everybody.
Yeah, we hit a new level.
I guess so. Now this is going off. Okay, or I'm losing some of my lighting here, but oh well. We're live.
That's one of the things a friend of mine told me many years ago. I think I'd gotten abducted and shipped by an alien, I don't know, 25 years ago or so. And she smiled and she just patted me on the hand and said, "You've got to look at the positive. That means you're important enough to be chipped."
Well, there you go, eh? Yeah.
So we're important enough to cut your power.
Yeah. Bizarre. It's not even windy out there. They're like, there's no reason unless there was an accident hitting a pole somewhere or something like that. But
yeah, but then the power would have been down longer while they rerouted it through a local substation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, okay, internet algorithm. We were talking about the ghost in the machine too. So if
we're mentioning gremlins,
you can do Nina and I solids and actually, contribute to help us better our lives and the lives of the listeners of this, or you can just get out of the way because we'll mow you over. And if you think we can't mow you over, you just shut us off so that we wouldn't.
There you go. But we're still here. That's the whole thing. We're still here, literally.
Exactly. And in your absence, we just extrapolated more on the idea of churches, organizations, powerful people using magic behind the scenes and then acting like they don't.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And I can see it. Like people are under spells. Like there's no other, they call it, brainwashing or whatever. But I think some of it is spells. Like these politicians, the elite or whatever, they're hiring the best of the best, I'm sure, magicians out there that are performing all kinds of rituals on their behalf. And it's not in our best interest, obviously. And so, yeah, because it's just the amount of stupidity and ignorance out there. Like, what is going on? Like, these people must be like, I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I get what you're saying. I'm actually reminded of an ancient Egyptian teaching. The more that we develop in this direction, the ancient Egyptians believed that not everybody was born with a soul.
Right.
You had to earn it. You had to make a soul. Otherwise, you had no soul. And the more that I interact with people, the more I see things like the dumbing down of culture, the dumbing down of civilizations or societies, people being brainwashed, the more that I'm kind of inclined to give that idea a second thought. Now, I think that can really be argued, and it is a very controversial idea, but it can also not be ruled out.
Yeah, well, they like to call them NPCs, non-player characters, and this whole realm is kind of starting to look more and more like a video game, honestly, and that would entail NPCs, and it does seem that way. There's just some people just don't get it, or they don't want to get it. They're in denial of what's going on, or yeah. So, and it's getting worse for sure.
It's funny you mentioned that, because the more that I talk to people about reincarnation, the more I explain it in terms of a tabletop role-playing game or a computer game. As soon as I start using those analogies, people are real receptive to it, because they see, oh, you mean before I came down in physical form, my physical form in my life is my character sheet that I created? Yeah.
We just come back with a different character. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. New avatar. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it does. Now, the one thing I got to ask you, the 3-eye atlas. What do you think of that?
I'm reserving judgment. I am not on board with the idea that it's a spacecraft, because I'm seeing way too much from the scientific and astronomical community saying that it's a comet. And I think a couple days ago, they finally classified it as a comet. But if it's a comet, then it defies a lot of physics and scientific understanding that we have of the cosmos. So if it is an alien vessel, okay, fine, fantastic. I welcome our new planetary overlords. If it's a comet, then the scientific community has to admit that they're wrong about a lot. And I never hear scientists admit that they're wrong until it's after the fact, and usually it's too late. So they have an opportunity to remind the public that most science is geocentric and will not necessarily apply throughout the universe.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that just don't make sense according to the scientists. That's the thing. Like, how much can we trust these guys, right? That's the problem, So, yeah. So there's a lot of things that don't add up now. Whether or not this is some, I don't know either. I wait and see on that one.
Exactly. I'm putting energy. I'm putting hope into the fact that it's an alien ship. That'd be fantastic. I'd be all for it. But I lived in Missouri for 30 years. It's the show me state. You got to show me. Don't tell me.
Yeah. Well, we've had too many of these, crazies, thinking it's something and then it's not. And, so there's been too many of these dates and things happening over time. Again, you just get jaded. You're like, oh, yeah, here we go. There's another one, So when it actually happens, we're probably just going to be like, yeah, sure. Okay.
Right. And that's, and that's part of the concern too with people, is that, oh, the rapture happens and no one cares. Yeah, well, you give us false predictions for 2,000 years and you expect us to care?
Did you realize, or you probably did, but a lot of people actually went and sold all their belongings, gave away everything, got up to give away the job, everything, said goodbye. Okay. Even like this year, like they're still doing it.
That's
even today, after 2,000 years. Yeah, still. And so now there's people complaining, oh shit, we gave away all our stuff. Now what do we do?
You probably remember with the build up and the hype of 2012, everybody was doing the same thing, to the degree that there was even pet insurance websites where if you got raptured or if you got taken or whatever, that this person who's collecting your money would take care of your pets after you vanished.
I'm sure there was people are going to catch in on whatever. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, to me, it's like, when are they leaving? Like, I can't wait. I mean, I
Right?
hope they do.
Right? Exactly. Let's just get it over with now, shall we?
Well, no, I was in some chats, some Christian channels or whatever. I still like to keep, tabs on what's going on, and I wrote, I'm like, you guys are still here. I thought you guys left yesterday, that kind of thing, right? Silence. Nobody said anything.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, it's too funny. Yeah, I just can't believe people are still falling for all that stuff. So I just hope that this AI atlas isn't going to be another one of those, where people are like, oh my God, the Anunnaki are coming back, or depending on which religion you're into, it's going to be Jesus, or it's going to be Anunnaki, or it's going to be somebody, that's going to come and rescue us, and we'll sell everything. And yeah.
Yeah, and my favorite part about that is, okay, good. And if it happens, fine. If it doesn't happen, fine. It's not going to impact what I'm magically or spiritually doing. Because even if I go, I'm still going to be doing it on the other side. And actually, that's going to be a little bit more powerful because I don't have to worry about things like buying groceries and going to the bathroom and paying taxes. So I got more free time on my hands.
Yeah, that's just come to my attention too, as of lately. We spend all our time taking care of this avatar. That's all we do. You know what I mean? Whether it's shopping for groceries or like the whole meal thing takes up most of the day, and then you got the cleaning and the eliminating and all. Yeah, like that's all we do here. Like, so we're going to have so much more time on the other side once we don't have to do that. We can just do whatever we want to do and not have to worry about that. Don't have to sleep. You don't have to eat. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I look forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. But not I'm in a rush or anything, but yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Yeah. So you're doing anything interesting for Halloween, or is that just another day?
Well, actually, I am. I'm going to be making an appearance on Positive Talk Radio in the afternoon.
Nice. Okay.
So I'm really looking forward to that. They were one of the industry leaders when that kind of format came out about 20 years ago or so. So I'm super stoked about that. It's a huge honor to be a part of it. So I'll be preparing for that. Afterwards, probably just spending some me time, doing a private ritual, just celebrating the day. Probably do a horror movie binge because why not? It's Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to bring out the classics for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll have to check that out. I'm sure you'll be posting links everywhere when the time comes, and we'll have to go and check that out. So you guys make sure to follow his social media.
Are you doing anything for Halloween?
I got grandkids, so I'll be going trick-or-treating and whatever. It's on a Friday night too this year, so it's probably going to be a bit more party going on around here. I don't know if my son's into partying now that he's got kids, but quite possibly maybe, there'll be something like that going on. But and then afterwards, I usually come back home here and do more of an ancestry. So communion with the ancestors, that's sort of my thing for Halloween. I have a whole ancestor altar, and we'll have all kinds of offerings, and just basically commune with my ancestors. Yeah, do that kind of thing.
That's a good way to spend it. That's the time of the year for that, for talking to the mighty dead.
Yeah, the veil's the thinnest, and in a lot of traditions, it's the Day of the Dead after midnight on the 1st there, and so there's a lot of different traditions that celebrate that day just for them, for the dead ancestors, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I see you got a kitty cat right behind you there.
Yes, I do. So this is a fun podcast, I guess, for lack of a better word, because I am house sitting for a friend of mine. That's why the background's different. That's his cat that ran across there. I'll tell him that I was on this later. I'm sure he'll check it out. But yeah, that's why when we were scheduling it, I had to coordinate to make sure I had my setup to do this. And I didn't want to put it off because it's been so long since we chatted that the check-in was, I wanted it. But yeah, that's why the scenery's different. That's why you got the cat. There's another large dog around here.
Yeah, that's always fun. I don't mind animals in videos. I think that's fine. Yeah.
I'm waiting for the cat to like get here in my face.
Show his ass right in there. Yeah, there you go.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
always fun. Oh yeah. Yeah, we actually had in my town here, we had fireworks last night. Pretty big, about 20 minutes. It was pretty good, yeah.
Nice.
Fireworks, that's always fun. Yeah. Yeah, it's always fun to do something different, time of the year. Yeah. So what else is new? Like, what do you want to talk about? Like, do you have anything else coming up? I know you've been busy. You've been doing a lot of festivals, I've noticed. A lot of, events and things that you've been doing all summer, basically. And so you take a break now then? Or what else is coming?
Festival season for me is pretty much winding down. I'm officiating a wedding next weekend, and then I've got one festival in November. But usually December is busy with the holidays. January is busy with the holiday hangover. So I kind of put a pause on things December and January. I do crazy events. You're right. Not just quantity, but also just interesting events. So yeah, festival season's winding down. And traditionally the last few years, I have taken this season of winter to do the bulk of my writing. So it's real behind the scenes stuff, and I justify it because it's winter. So if the weather's horrible, I don't want to go out. I'll just stay in. So I will stay in and write anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 words a day, write 2 or 3 books over the span of 3 or 4 months, and then spread out their releases and editing and formatting and stuff through the year. So even though I won't be busy on social media behind the scenes in my own home, I will be working my rear off, getting everything ready for the upcoming year.
Well, there you go. You might as well. Yeah. Like it's sort of everybody kind of, hermates in the winter anyways. And yeah, you might as well do some writing while you're just sitting at home anyways. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. And then that way you can do more other things in the spring, right? When that comes.
Exactly. And usually that's about the start of the next festival season is March, April-ish, right around there. So from the middle of November until about the end of February, I'll write 2 or 3 books and then just kind of ease out the releases the rest of the year. Next year, I probably will not be releasing as many books as I did this year. This year, I did 3 of them. Next year, I'll probably do 2. I think the older I get, the more I'm going to get selective about release dates and things like that. Before, it was just, I've got all this in my head. I want to get it out there. Now I am picking and choosing the subjects in the books that I want to know more about, or that I know about, but I want to research it, a chapter and verse it. So the releases are probably going to back off in their frequency, but the books will either be thicker or they'll be better researched. They'll have more of that academic kind of leaning. Hey man, I'm all for coming down to Canada, and it's good to see you on the call too, Behemoth. The last time I was in Canada was 2016, and that was just at Niagara Falls while I was at an astrological conference in Buffalo, New York. So seeing more of Canada other than just Niagara Falls is definitely on my bucket list.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm in Canada too, but I'm on the other side. I don't know if he's back east, if he's in the Toronto area. I'm not sure where he is, but I'm on the West Coast. So the other side. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely should come over here. I know in Vancouver, they always have a huge pagan festival in the summer. And I don't know what else they got. There's always a lot of things going on around here too. There she is.
And thanks to the offer of a place to stay. Yeah, I'd like to check out Toronto. I'd like to check out Montreal, Vancouver. Basically all the major cities are on my list in some way.
Yeah, maybe 1 year, travel throughout all of Canada and hit all the festivals, catch all of them sort of. That'll be cool. Yeah, that'll be a good little road trip for you. Yeah,
Oh, definitely. And
I wouldn't mind coming.
one thing I've always liked about Canada is Canada has more of that French influence than the US has. We've got more of the Spanish or the Latin American. So I think it'd be kind of cool to be in cities where you're just as apt to see a French word on a sign as you are an English word, because you really only get that in New Orleans, maybe a few other places, but to see it so
Yeah.
common, or overhear people speaking French
Mm.
and just understanding that most people are bilingual, that's just a really awesome idea.
It's funny because, like Quebec, for instance, they only speak French there. Like, I mean, they know how to, but they're very stubborn about it. So most likely everything is sort of French out there. But as you get down to where I'm at, we don't speak French down here. We just find it annoying because everything has the French side. You got, like, say, cereal box got to have the English on one side and then the French on the other, and they always display everything with the French out, and none of us speak it. So we always got to turn it around, to read it. It's kind of annoying. Yeah, just the politicians that have to have the bilingual thing, but yeah, it's a huge country and a lot of different cultures in the different parts. It's kind of like the States, really, because when you go inland, because we have our area that's more like a Texas cowboy sort of area, and then it's a lot the same that way, I guess. We are neighbors after all, so sort of the same sort of scenery. But BC is definitely where you gotta experience it for sure. Like,
Nice.
it's just nothing like it. Yeah, than BC.
Well, and sometimes down here, people are a little leery of going to Canada because of the weather. But when I lived in Poland, the latitude I lived on was the same as southern Canada. So the weather doesn't affect me one way or another. I'm used to that. And that really frees me up with like travel and schedule options.
Yeah, that's good if you're going to be flexible. Yeah, because the weather will change. I mean, it's kind of humid down here. There is a lot of humidity, and it does get hot in the summer. But other than that, it's fairly pleasant. There's a lot of rain. I mean, there is that. But, so I know. And as you go inland, like our terrain is a lot similar to the States. You can just drive 4 hours from here. But like here, I'm in the forest. 4 hours from now, you'll be in the desert, so there's a lot of drastic change in the scenery. So kind of just like in the States. Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
then we got the Rockies, and all of that. And so, yeah, definitely should do it. I wouldn't mind. Like, if you came to Vancouver, I would definitely come and see you. I got tons of books that I can get you to sign.
I would love to sign them. That is one of my goals at some point in the next 20 years or so, is go on just a massive like book signing tour, teaching tour, the same way that bands do concert gigs.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hit up one city one night, and then a night or two later you're in another city doing your thing. It's just got to be put together professionally and financially to be able to do that. And I got inspired by a fellow astrologer that I saw do it back, I don't know, maybe 12, 13 years ago. He actually had t-shirts printed with all of his stops on the back, and it was like a concert shirt. So that kind of got me inspired to want to put that on my bucket list.
Yeah, you should look into doing that. Yeah, like you said, people want to see people up front now, like up close, talk to them, shake hands, rather than just online. You know what I mean? People are starting to crave, I think, some more social interaction and stuff like that, and especially as a book writer, because nowadays people are going to wonder, is this AI that wrote this book? So it's nice to know that, hey, there's an actual person here, because some of the books that are coming out now, I mean, even if there's a picture on the back of it, you don't really know whether or not that's so, because there's a lot of that going on from what I hear now. People are just submitting manuscripts, or the AI did. Nobody's writing anymore.
Right. And you've got two different sides to that coin. The first one is the author is AI generated, the book is AI generated, it's 100% AI generated. Then the other thing you've got are actual flesh and blood authors that used AI to write a book. So you can't really tell. You need this kind of level of engagement to actually know whether or not the person exists.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the way they have it nowadays, like they could have you sitting there talking, and it could just be AI doing it, and we wouldn't even know the difference. I mean, they have I've seen that. We had our politician, Robert and I both fell for it. And we're like, oh my God, we're saying all kinds of things. And it turns out it wasn't true at all. And yet you could not tell. You could not tell that was not real. So there's that too, so it's just, you don't know what to believe, so it would be good to meet, in person, where for sure that this is flesh and blood person who wrote the book, and, so I think, there's going to be more demand for that sort of stuff. So
yeah, I think you're 100% right. I think it's going to take a little bit for people to get over this initial burst. But once people do, they're going to get better at sifting through and be able to tell what's AI and what's not. In higher education now, there are sites that instructors are told to run a student's text through to see if it was AI generated or not. So if they've already got that in higher ed, then using it for what we're talking about is right around the corner. It's gonna happen. That's the happiness of everything going on with AI right now, is somebody's going to build a better mousetrap. Somebody's going to come along and say, oh, here's how you spot it. And everybody around them's going to say, why didn't I think of this? Because it's going to be a simple hacking trick, or it's going to be some kind of simple programming code. And when that happens, that will be where we see that equilibrium.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out, for sure. I know with your writing, though, you can tell that that's a person, because I can hear you say it, and the way you say it, that you write it the way that you say it. And so,
well, and I took a real gamble with that when I did my first book. I did it with vocal magic. I wrote it like I spoke, because that's just my writing style. And the first once or twice it got rejected was because I was told writing how you speak does not generally work for an author.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. So then I found a Manian Press, and they were like, we'll take it. We'll put it out there. And the biggest compliment that book gets is that when they read it, if they just relax, and if they know me, and now it's easier with video, then when they read the book, they're hearing it in my voice. So whereas that technique works against other authors, for me, it works just fine. So I'm glad you're picking up on that. I'm glad that's still present, because sometimes with some of my newer books, I'm channeling it to the degree that I don't know if it still sounds like me or not. I just kind of let it flow and roll with it.
Yeah, no, I noticed that in this when I was reading this book, and so I think that, I keep that, because that would be the difference between AI and an actual author. I've seen it, like, this commercial that keeps popping up on YouTube here all the time, this little razor, and I can tell that it's an AI generated voice, because how they say it, that's not how we as a human would say that particular word. And so you can tell right away that, no, that's not a real person.
In the last 2 or 3 weeks or so, I've noticed on YouTube that the commercials are getting more influenced by AI, like you pointed out. But now I've started identifying that they're actual people. So it's as clear as you or me, but I know what to look for and I can spot that it's AI. So now they're moving from just AI voices to full AI images. And there was even some uproar. You might have seen this. If not, might be interested in it. There was uproar with this AI project that some company out in Hollywood did, where it was a total AI actress. So not just the language, but also the appearance and movements and all that. And it got quite the backlash.
I bet. Yeah.
So it's even, that was part of the actors strike a year or two ago, was that the studios were trying to say, we own the rights so that when you die, we can still use your image and likeness and voice in whatever productions we want. And the actors and actresses were saying, no, that's not fair to us. Or if you're going to do that, then you need to pay us more now. And that was the sticking point. Studios didn't want to do it. And I completely support the actors and actresses with this because, when you're dead, that's when it should stop.
Yeah, or they pay royalties then if they're using your likeness. I would think it'll be
right. Exactly. And studios were trying to get around that.
Right. Yeah, to try and hose them. Yeah. Yeah, I know Kiss did the same thing. They was it 2 years ago now? They had their final concert, and at the end of the concert, they told us that they're now going digital. So they had their measurements, everything all measured and whatever. So they have digital characters now. So
wow, hadn't heard that.
Yeah, so they told us about that right at the end of that concert, and they haven't really talked about it since then. So I don't know exactly. Are they going to wait until they're all dead, or because I know Ace just died actually 2 days ago.
Yep.
Or whatever, a couple of days ago, Ace passed away. So there you go. So there's one of the characters gone already, and Gene, he was in a car accident just a couple of days ago as well. He fell asleep at the wheel and he's okay, but they're getting up there and they're gonna be gone soon. And so I don't know if they're waiting until they're gone and then it's gonna be a virtual concert. So Kiss is still gonna be going on playing their things, but it's a holographic sort of thing. And I remember too, Tupac, wasn't there a whole concert done through the holographic type of thing as well? So that's probably and again, so it makes you wonder, like when you do watch a concert, is it really them, or what I mean, like so it makes you wonder how much they're actually using it now too,
right, exactly. Like I watched a lot of the Star Wars stuff recently, and they've done that with Peter Cushing. They did it to a lesser extent with Carrie Fisher, and they've started integrating it into that. And I think it's fascinating from a technological perspective. From a morality perspective, that's another story. But I think the whole ethical quandaries that go with it are worth pondering.
Yeah, there's that too. I know there's a lot of factors in there. I just don't like it when they lie about it. At least if you're going to use it, just be upfront and say that that's what it is, and
right, because a lie is going to be found out in this day.
Eventually. Yeah,
you can't get around it like you could have 25 years ago. So to lie about it, you're just insulting the people you're trying to sell to.
Exactly. Yeah, best to be upfront. Exactly. Oh, all right. Well, it's been over an hour. I don't want to take up too much of your time here, Bill, but do you have any last minute words? Anything new that you want to tell us about? Or
I think the main thing, since we have this platform and we have this connection, is a reminder to everybody checking this out. Independent people like Nina and myself and your favorite personalities, for lack of a better word, support them like this. And what I mean by that is, if you get turned on to someone, look them up, see if they're legit. If they are legit, do a little research into them, find out if you like them, find out how long they've been around. it's crazy to me because on one hand, the world is more connected, so it's a bigger scale. And we see that with a lot of the social manipulations going on right now. But on the other hand, it's kind of brought it like an Ouroboros, where it's full circle. And now the emphasis is back on grassroots and small movements and reaching out to people like this, person to person, or interacting with chats. So for those of you that might feel overwhelmed with anything, this is how you combat it. Support the independent, support the real people, understand that perfect is the enemy of good. Research what you get turned on to. You might end up with some of Nina's awesome merchandise that she had there at the beginning. You might end up with some of my books, but that's how you build community. And that's what we need.
Yeah, well, that's a good reminder. You know, you got everybody's so busy and they're just scrolling and they're just passing through and whatever. You know, just take a second to subscribe or like or share. You know, I know we say it all the time, and it seems to people are tired of hearing it, and I get it because but if you want to continue to see us grow and continue to have, content, then we need your support that way, even if it's not buying anything, but at least take the time to like and share and, spread the word a little bit, if you are finding value in what we're bringing. So, but definitely go and check out Bill's website there. And I highly recommend this book, whether you are new to magic or you're been doing it for a while. There's a lot of stuff in here that is going to be of value, I think. Even you're talking about using tarot cards as well. A lot of people haven't quite gotten that connection either with astrology and the tarot. There's a correlation there that you can be using the cards with rituals, and so there's a lot of stuff in here that you guys need to check out for sure. So thank you so much for doing that, writing this book, and thanks for coming on. I always appreciate when you take the time to come here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for reaching out. I love our conversations. They're always fun.
Yeah. So I guess the next 6 months is going to be a little dicey. I guess we'll probably get together in spring and we'll see how we all do. Hopefully we all are still here.
That's exactly what I was thinking, is about the time we do this again, it should be on the back end of that. So we'll be able to compare notes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we'll do. And thank you everybody for watching. Like I said, like and share, all that good stuff. All Bill's links are down in the description there, as well as mine, if you would like to go and check any of that out. Follow us on the social media and all that good stuff. And I can't wait to speak to you again there, Bill.
Definitely. And until then, keep that fire burning.
That's right. All right. Until the next one, everybody. Take care. Bye.